Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Talking Joe's podcast alongside my broadcast partners, Josh Stanley. I'm Ethan Herzog, and it's been a rain-soaked week this past week, and we had a doubleheader get canceled and moved into the latter half of July, so stay tuned for that. It's not in Hamilton. It is up in Michigan, as the Michigan Monarchs will take on the Hamilton Joes, and that being said, it kind of messed up the standings a little bit as we take a look at the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League standings, funded in part by Major League Baseball. The Joes now are second to last, and they were second to last heading into the series against Michigan, but they also lost their most recent game to Muskegon, the Clippers, their first one 12-6. And Michigan also has lost their most recent one as well. So it's been a slippery, slidey little slope here that the Hamilton Joes are on. And there's a lot to kind of unfold and unpack when it comes to talking about this team. And a lot of it kind of starts with the fact that the pitching is 50-50, I think is the best way to put it, Josh. That there's some games it's really, really good, and you're shutting out teams or putting teams they can only score like a run or two. I think the most they've scored in like a win was 4 for the opponent. They've only scored 4 runs. But I also do think I want to say the future is also bright. I mean, Charlie Deeriff made his debut not too long ago, and he had 3 scoreless innings and like a hit and like 5 strikeouts. It was very impressive for the normally Bearcat who was working across the plate from also a Bearcat catcher, and Gavin Brewer, who made his debut as well. And Caleb Drisson's also going to be suiting up here for the Joes here relatively soon. But I think the biggest issue that we see is how 50-50 this pitching is for this team, is that some games it's great, and other games they give up 8 runs in an inning and then they can't catch back up.
The 8 runs of the inning is a big point. The pitching is great normally in every game for about, I would say, 6 out of every 9 innings. And then you'll have your 3 innings where you'll give up some runs, but one of those 3 innings is a just blow up. The most recent one happened last night against the Clippers in the bottom of the 3rd. Dean Brown just unable to get out of the inning and gave up 8 runs in that inning. And then we saw it, I believe,
Tuesday,
we saw it on Sunday and we saw it on Tuesday. One inning just ruined everything. And it's really, in baseball, it's really difficult for him to play behind because you only have a limited amount of outs, and each batter has a different approach depending on what happens in the batter before him. And it's, again, very difficult to play from behind and very difficult to pitch or hit against pitchers pitching with a lead. Like, they're going to be comfortable. They're going to be more aggressive to you. You're not going to see as many pitches, more hittable pitches as you'd like to.
Absolutely. And I mean, from an offensive standpoint, this team is pretty solid. I mean, you know, they have games where they don't get many hits. Like last night against the Clippers, they went 6 for 31, and Ryder Kirtley would go 3 for 5. But I mean, like, normally under that kind of circumstance, I feel like the team is normally hitting about 500 as a team, and you know, reaching base, whether it be by a base hit or by a walk, and they're really able to get the scoring going. And I don't see much of an issue with the offense per se. I think it's all a lot of the issues stem defensively when you're looking at A, the pitching, but B, also how the fielders are playing as well. There have been a lot of errors that this team has committed, and if they can clean that up and find ways to also be very decisive. I can remember a lot of plays the past couple of weeks where they either had to throw home or throw to first, and they didn't, and the third baseman would never know who to throw it to in terms of, you know, getting the lead runner that is heading home, or getting the last batter who was heading towards first, which in that dilemma, it's harder to make the decision considering you could plunk the lead runner in the back of the head while he's running down the baseline. But you have to make a decision. Like, you can't just hold on to the ball for 5 seconds and then throw it, because by the time the 5 seconds are up, the runner's already about 3/4 of the way there, and the throw's not going to be in time anyway.
Yeah, I also think the rain hurt the Joes a lot this week,
Absolutely.
especially since they were supposed to play the doubleheader against the Michigan Monarchs. Um,
Yeah.
I believe for the Joes, they were trying to look at this as a get-right series. The Monarchs, as a team, currently have a 9.2 ERA, so it's very hittable stuff, very easy to get guys going. But unfortunately, they were only able to get, I believe it was 4.5 innings in a 5-5 ball game, and Joe's had runners in scoring position when they called that game. But another area that's haunting the Joes, it seems like it's been all year, is timely hitting.
There's been so many opportunities for the Joes who have, they've had so many opportunities where there's been a runner on third and they haven't been able to bring him in any capacity. They're not a base hit, not a walk, not setting up a stolen base. A lot of the times, the most recent scoring that they've done in terms of getting runners on from third is a double steal, because the throw will go down to second, then the lead runner will take off for home, and the throw typically is offline, at least in the circumstances we've seen. But I remember you mentioning on broadcast multiple times over the past week or so that the timely hitting's really been the biggest issue for this team, and that, if you can find a way to even get solid contact on a baseball, like if you've got a guy who's on third and you've got one out or no outs, sacrifice flies are, they're just as valuable as sometimes even a base hit, especially earlier in games when you have that opportunity to sacrifice the out but also get the run scored, so that you can keep adding to the cushion of the game as you keep going along. Because with this team, you never know how the pitching's going to go, because one day they'll step on the mound and they'll be completely lights out, but the next time they're going to step onto the mound and they're going to hang meatballs right over the middle of the plate, and there's going to be solid contact all over.
Run insurance is very important for pitchers. That allows them to be more aggressive, like I was talking about earlier, with the blow-up innings versus the Joes. If the Joes are able to have these big leads, it frees up pitchers a lot to, if I make a mistake, I'm still up by 4 or 5 runs. It's not a big deal. I just have to try and work around this a little bit better. And it can free up the bullpen, and the bullpen has had a lot of work the past couple days. It'll be very interesting to see how Coach Davis Schaefer navigates a doubleheader today.
Absolutely. There was a lot of concern with the doubleheader coming on Wednesday, where you've got, I think the first doubleheader of the season was supposed to be on Wednesday, and it was going to be a big test for them. But now you're on the road in a doubleheader, and that's a whole different can of worms that you're going to have to open, with trying to manage your bullpen on the road in a hostile environment. That, doing a little bit of research on their ball club, their supporters show out and they can pack the ballpark, and it gets loud. So it's going to be a big test for not just their bullpen guys, but also our hitters and the starting pitchers for the Joes coming up today and, in the future, with the struggles that we've had. There's been a lot that has just seemingly gone wrong, and more things I feel like have gone wrong for the Joes than have gone right in the past couple of weeks, especially after that big win streak. They were able to get back up to 500, and then they've, won a couple, but they've lost their last 3 games, and it's been a relatively painful stretch. You look at the last 10 games; they're 4-6. They're now 5.5 games back in first place in the Great Lakes. So it's a lot. It feels, and I feel like the problems are obvious. The problems are, you can point them out and you can work on them. It's just, how well are they going to execute these issues in game settings?
Yeah, I think it's going to be how well can you adapt the rest of the way. Since you're starting a little bit behind the 8 ball, being 4-7, there's still plenty of time left with approximately 30 games left to make the playoffs and make a run. You just got to find a way to gather some momentum and string a couple wins together, string some hits together. And you have an opportunity to do that starting today with a doubleheader, stealing 2 and winning the series.
That, and then next week, the Joes will have 4 of their next 6 at home at Foundation Field, but you're welcoming Lima, who is in outright first place in the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League, and then you're welcoming Xenia, who is second place currently in the South Division, right behind Grand Lake, who's currently 8-4. But I mean, this is going to be a long week for the Joes, with 2 games at home, back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, on the road Thursday, back at it Friday and Saturday, and then a game on Sunday before having the off day on Monday, before they head to Athens to take on the Ohio Copperheads at Bob Rent Stadium. But I mean, this season's nonstop. That's the thing, is that this season is nonstop in, it's Summer Collegiate League, so it goes by in a flash, and you've got to be on your toes. You got to be ready to go. And the way that the season has gone so far, it's just, I feel like a lot of these players maybe are just having trouble adapting, and the reason why we're seeing players like Charlie Deeroff and Gavin Brewer still kind of on their mark is because they've been playing. They were in the College World Series, or not the College World Series, but the NCAA tournament, and they were in Starkville. They were playing and practicing for days, and maybe took like a week off and then came back to Hamilton to play. So they're at a little bit of an advantage, I feel like, but the rest of it's kind of, who's going to step up to make these plays, especially against the first place team in the league. Like, this could be a huge, it is going to be a huge test, but it also could be a very, it could show the growing pains, definitely, in this next game.
Best part about the doubleheader today is you have 2 days off following the doubleheader. Then you get to come home and play 2 games at home before you go back on the road again. And again, those 2 games will be against the Locos, who are a very good ball club. So it'll be a tough series to win, but if you could win that, you have arguably the most pivotal series after it, playing Xenia, who are 3 games ahead of you in the standings currently. And if you're able to play well, win a series, or sweep, you can leapfrog them in the standings.
It's definitely possible. I mean, like, it's any given day. I firmly believe that. And you're going to be riding a lot on the shoulders, I think, of offensively Ryder Kirtley. I mean, guy's batting .400 right now, 9 RBIs on the season with 16 hits, 6 walks, 4 doubles. Has struck out 11 times. But I mean, like, his batting average is .400, his on base is .500, and slugging's .500. I mean, that guy's he sees the ball like a damn hawk. It's insane how well he's been playing so far this season. And you look at the rest of this lineup and the rest of this roster and the guys who kind of play consistently, and there's just there's so much talent up and down this roster. It's just some guy. I think a lot of guys are just in a little slump at this current moment, where, like, some of these guys, Preston Zumwalt, who has 2 home runs, he leads the team in it. He got a hit a couple days ago. After that, he's kind of slowed down. Parker Falkenstein's been up and down as well. Owen McCoon, same thing. Brady Bowen's been relatively consistent as well. I think if the offense gets hot, that this team will become infinitely more dangerous, but you're going to also have to rely on the pitching to start kind of locking in. I mean, Dean Brown last night came into the game, and it was not the prettiest thing. His season stats at the moment, he's got 3 starts, 10 2/3 innings pitched. He's got 14 earned runs on the season in 3 appearances. He's currently 0-2 on the year. And, I mean, you're looking at 7 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings in the 12-6 loss to the Clippers, which, I mean, you got to find a way to clean this stuff up, because, I mean, his ERA ballooned up to 23.6. Like, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, especially with now 1 strikeout. Your first game of the season, you went 4 1/3 with 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 5 Ks. second appearance, 3 2/3, 2 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned with 4 Ks.
I think a lot of it,
something happened.
a lot of it has been pitchers just been getting hit a lot harder recently, and then going back to offense, it's just timely hitting. If we go back to, I believe it was the Tuesday game against the Monarchs, up until the ninth inning where they had 2 hits with runners in scoring position, I believe it was just Eric Fleetwood's double. With runners in scoring position, they had multiple opportunities, just unable to break the door down. So if they can get some timely hitting, and like I said on the broadcast, hitting is contagious, and that's one of the most true baseball sayings ever. Like if your first couple guys gets hits, like it just motivates you even more to keep following because you don't want to be the first out.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a fun one, but it's been a roller coaster here this season so far, and I do think that the Joes will catch fire later on in the season. I mean, I think the playoffs are still in play. I mean, it's still too early.
Yeah.
We're almost done with June. There's still plenty of games to go, and there's no doubt in my mind that we won't at least be in consideration about this time next month, where you've got a couple more games left, and you've got to really make that push to make yourself put into the playoffs for, and also the All-Star game is coming up here in about a month or so too. So you've got plenty of time to really make your case to head up to Prasco Park and play in the All-Star game for the Great Lakes. But I don't know. That's kind of my outlook on how I feel about this team, especially early, and seeing how they've been able to play and how they've kind of overcome the adversity that they faced so far. And I mean, obviously, the weather's crazy. And I mean that Wednesday game that is currently kind of suspended at 5-5 and is in purgatory right now. I mean, that weather system kind of threw everybody for a loop, especially within the entirety of the Great Lakes region. Like, so pretty much every single game that was that day got suspended or canceled in some capacity. So there's still plenty of makeup that should be done, but I think there's a good chance.
Still have plenty of opportunities. Everything is still in front of you to make a run. I have full confidence in this team as long as we make these adjustments of timely hitting, getting a lead for these pitchers, get them more comfortable, some more first pitch strikes, get ahead in the count. You're going to win some ball games.
Absolutely. Now, the next home game for the Joes, like we mentioned, Tuesday, June 23rd at 7:05 p.m. at Foundation Field against the Lima Locos. That's the opening of a 3-game series. The first 2 games will be at home at Foundation Field. You can catch both games on Flow Sports with me and Josh Stanley off to my left.
Right.
That way.
This way.
That way. Yep. There we go. But cameras are hard, especially when you're doing this virtually. But that's Josh Stanley. I'm Ethan Herzog. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Talkin Joes podcast, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the podcast, and also the 4-game lineup at home for the Hamilton Joes. So take care, and we'll see you guys next time.